GT Countdown. Top 10 crossovers.
Unlikely combinations have been a part of life ever since some genius decided to mix chocolate and peanut butter. Two great tastes don't always taste great together, but there have been some games that have managed to take two parts and make a satisfying whole. We're not ranking these on just gameplay and production values, but rather how well the subject matter of two games was integrated into one. Did the developers do all they could when given such a wealth of content to mix and match? The following 10 mashups managed to blend to no end.
Number 10. Battletoads and Double Dragon.
The Acme Affirmative Battletoads, Pimple, Rash, and Zitz teaming up with the Double Dragon twins was the thing of fever dreams in the early 90s. Two of the best beat-em-ups joined forces to rock out under the eye of Battletoads developer Rare, with a variety of stages and special effects spread across a giant galactic battlecruiser incorporating elements from both series. This team-up lived up to its subtitle with 5 playable characters, an outer space Abobo boss battle, and a hoverbike segment that you could actually beat, even in multiplayer. The Dark Queen might be evil, but we wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers.
Number 9. Soul Calibur.
It's not the fighting series that wears its crossovers the most prominently on its sleeve, but the idea of visiting fighters is written into Soul Calibur's very DNA. Long before the spawn of Todd McFarlane's Nightmares or interlopers from a galaxy far, far away came to stink up the arena, mechanical ninja Yoshimitsu from Soul Calibur's sister franchise Tekken was bringing his foreign manji style to the fray. Frankly though, weird as he may be, the brazenness of his inclusion pales that of, say, Link, Necrid, or Starkiller. Undeniable odd men out in his earnest tale of swords and souls, not to mention unbalanced to the man. It's safe to say that Namco isn't shy about indulging in the preposterous crossover, especially when it's in the service of a lucrative cross-promotion.
Insieme per la vittoria. Number 8. Dissidia, Final Fantasy.
I knew I would triumph!
The Final Fantasy series is full of some of the most memorable characters, so after seeing the success enjoyed by Nintendo's own Super Smash Bros. Series, it only made sense for Square Enix to try its hand at a fighter set within the mythical universe. Dissidia doesn't settle for the traditional fighting game mold, but instead taps into its RPG roots to deliver something we hadn't seen before. Seeing an all-star cast of heroes square off against villains like Kefka, Sephiroth, and Golbez is memorable, and battles artfully mimic the gravity-defying choreography depicted in many of the more recent game's cinematic sequences. Though the Final Fantasy series has had its share of recent missteps, Dissidia is proof that there's still some creative talent at Square Enix.
So these crystals can save the world, huh?
Get ready! Here it comes!
Number 7.
What on earth got a hold of this guy?
Aliens vs. Predator.
The series has been tested in various genres over the years with mostly satisfying results. It only climbs to the 7th spot here because it was already a comic book before this brutal species clash moved to video games. The genre best suited to keep up with all the acid spraying has proven to be the FPS after spawning on the Atari Jaguar, gestating on the PC, and finally exploding into this generation in 2010. At the beating heart of the series is the trifecta of Alien, Predator, and Marine, sometimes making you feel as if you've received 3 games for the price of 1. RoboCop is tangoed with Terminators and Freddy has given Jason nightmares, but no sci-fi or horror duo evolves and conquers like AVP.
Number 6. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe.
You better come with me.
Considering how one pairing of comics and combat served to marvel the fighting game genre, this matchup seemed inevitable. Much to the shock of longtime fans, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe significantly toned down the series' trademark blood and gore to fit the constraints of a teen rating and the DC license. No matter though, it couldn't quell the novelty of seeing these two disparate universes come together for a rumble.
The Flash wins.
It was a fun venture into new territory, and an example of two extremely different properties coming together in a way that made sense.
Number 5. SNK vs. Capcom.
Long before Street Fighter dared to tango with Tekken, Capcom crossed swords with longtime arcade rival SNK in an unprecedented crossover campaign spanning 7 games. Not bad for something that supposedly came out by accident. The story goes that readers of the Japanese gaming magazine Arcadia reportedly misinterpreted a cover story involving both companies, spurring on rumors of a mysterious dream project. Both Capcom and SNK caught wind of the situation and decided to turn myth into reality, giving us some of the most high-profile fighting games that either developer has ever produced. Though the two of them have yet to rekindle the flames after the genre's latest return to the scene, their collaborations live on as some of the most technically rich and fondly remembered games in fighting history.
Number 4. King of Fighters.
You may not have known, but this Regal series is one of the first and most enduring crossovers in gaming, throwing its inaugural intercompany punch fest in 1994. The contenders for the crown come from SNK's early fighters like Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting, as well as other games like the top-down shooter Ikari Warriors and the side-scrolling Athena. They join original characters like Kyo and Iori in team-based brawls. King of Fighters sometimes follows plot arcs that span multiple games, other times it's simply a non-canon dream match. Either way, it's a potpourri of games that somehow comes out smelling like a rose.
Number 3. Super Smash Bros.
What started as a surprising scuffle between lead mascots like Mario, Link, and Pikachu turned into one of gaming's biggest matchups. The Smash Bros. Series taps unlikely Nintendo characters like F-Zero's Captain Falcon and Mr. Game & Watch. It even provides a virtual museum of Nintendo obscurities. The music alone is a love letter to games, made up of high-quality arrangements from over 30 composers, including Koji Kondo, Yasunori Mitsuda, and Nobuo Uematsu. Brawl even crossed party lines to shockingly bring Sonic and Solid Snake to the arena.
Number 2.
The darkness in people's hearts. That's what attracts them.
Kingdom Hearts.
And there is darkness within every heart.
Once upon a time, the Final Fantasy franchise was a juggernaut that could do no wrong. So when it was announced that gaming giant Squaresoft would be partnering with Disney to create an all-new RPG series that fused the two universes, it grabbed everyone's attention. The end result was Kingdom Hearts, a game that became a blockbuster overnight and spawned a series whose popularity has arguably surpassed the source material. The ability to travel in worlds based on some of the most beloved Disney franchises and interact with the likes of Mickey, Donald, and Goofy is a big part of the series' allure, but shifting away from turn-based battles and focusing on real-time combat and platforming is equally as important to Kingdom Hearts' success. After nearly a decade, the series is showing no signs of slowing down, although we're still patiently waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Number 1. Versus Capcom.
Just when players thought that Capcom had finally plumbed the depths of its extensive fighting library came a baffling crossover that was nothing short of uncanny. The legendary Versus series stands not only as a set of accomplished fighting games in their own right, but as the very embodiment of a crossover done right, transforming these seemingly separate franchises into a cohesive entity that players across the globe know today. Stretching the limits of the plausible as well as delivering some of the most frantic fun in a fighting game to date, Capcom's iconic Versus series is a veritable triumph in team-ups that has answered hundreds of who would win in a fight questions. It's also a perfect blend of properties that naturally fit together, making it the best crossover game of all time.